Hey folks, and welcome back here to Gatekeeper Media as we continue to bring you coverage of the Elite Series of Disc Golf Pro Tour, and we are at the 2022 OTB Open out in Swenson Park in Stockton, California. Big thanks to all of you tuning in, and a special shout out to all of our Patreon supporters who helped make this coverage possible. If you didn't catch the front nine, please go do so. Already up, and once again, I am Dustin Mouret, bringing you the commentary solo here for the OTB Open, for our feature card as well as chase card going forward as we take a look at how things kind of shaped up on the front nine. Heimburg and James Proctor fighting for the podium. Nate Sexton and Kevin Jones still in the top 15 but lagging a bit behind. As you can see on the leaderboard, a pretty tight race in those top four positions with just a couple of strokes of separation as we start getting to the back half of the course. And hole 10 is a very iconic one here at Swenson Park, an 850-foot par 4. The more right you are, the more you can avoid this low ceiling approach to the pin by throwing over a third pond, essentially. It's really just about how much you want to bite off the tee on this double pond carry, essentially. That's right here in front of you. Of course, Heimburg has plenty of power to attack this hole, and that is playing over to that right-hand side of the fairway, which should open him up for a nice backhand hyzer approach shot for birdie. Sexton electing to play it over the left-hand side, but gets a lot of turn out of it and unfortunately catches that tree, and that will knock him out of bounds. So you see Proctor throwing a bit of a hyzer flip up the middle, and that is a fantastic shot. So we take a look at Proctor here. Very strong player in his region, coming out of Washington. Just fantastic timing, really smooth form. There's Kevin Jones, another player who certainly has the arm to attack this. We'll play one up in the air on that right-hand side. Covers a lot of ground. Not sure how right or center he might be again. Might have a tricky low ceiling approach as we are going to catch up with Nate Sexton here on the drop zone. He has another big turning shot here. And again, if you did not catch the front nine, very windy opening day here. But that will stay safe. And this is that low ceiling approach you have to deal with on the left-hand side of the fairway. You have to punch a forehand low, but definitely doable. That will skip up there nicely. Thought it might challenge an OB line for a moment, but wound up settling down just fine. Kevin Jones had essentially a similar situation, but unfortunately catches that OB line near the water's edge. And Heimburg being more on that right-hand side, kind of just has this open backhand hyzer up to the pin. Gets a little bit of a tricky roll, but still have a look at it, but maybe a bit of a death putt. Sexton will pitch one up there, but it falls just short of circle one, it looked like. Saw those little orange whiskers. Not sure if those are bullseye or the circle one. Either way, he's got something. Speaking of which, Kevin Jones gets well within circle one, and yeah, a little bit of a lengthy one here for Sexton. Catches the right-hand side that needs to lay down. And it will. This is Calvin's tricky death putt situation. Floats it in there, though, no problem. He's already hit several big putts throughout this round if you have not seen that front nine yet. It's gone 3 for the last 4, putting him at 4 under and in the lead. Proctor bangs in a birdie as well. Moves himself up the leaderboard and a tied for second position. Bogey there for Kevin Jones. As this was playing as the third most difficult hole on the day, 0.55 strokes over par as Nate Sexton cards the double. Now we get to hole 11, a 341-foot par 3. Kind of an island hole situation here. In fact, you might as well just call it a flat-out island. Anything in the water or outside of this wall will be OB. Oh! Ooh, that is deadly close. On the line, but if the outside edge of the line is what was considered OB versus the inside of the line, that makes the difference. So Proctor has this one turned over. Yeah, a little turned, and that will cause some problems. OB as well. Evans is also turned over a little too much, and that wall will block him from skipping back into bounds. So far, some tough breaks here for our card on hole number 11. Sexton punches a forehand. That's getting lifted. It might get pushed OB. But no, sticks to landing. And there is no drop zone, so you do play from last in bounds. Kevin's able to get one up there to at least salvage a bogey. Similar situation here for Proctor. And he finds the out of bounds again. Big blow to Proctor. He's had a pretty fantastic round up until now. Sexton just kind of lays one up there. And this is Calvin to save par. Getting that meter in. Floats it up there, and it's a little low, a little left. So this hole is going to take its toll on our feature card. Proctor going to take a double due to the two OBs. Kevin Jones looking for the single version of the bogey, as will the rest of the card. Back. We get over to hole number 12, a 445-foot par 3. Is a little bit guarded, though, as you can see. Sexton will put one out there. Big skip and lots of wind action on that. We'll kind of keep it short of where he needs to be. See, there's kind of various different gaps you can play through on that right-hand side, and it's really just about how much you think you can push the disc, as that was a fantastic shot for Calvin Heimburg. Pretty much picture perfect. Kevin going for that same wider hyzer line, as it is the more open way to play the hole, I suppose you could say, but he's going to get caught behind that tree behind the putting green. Like Proctor was maybe trying to play a little bit more of an inside line, but he's going to get caught up. That or he released a little early. Second shot's going to get up there, though. Give him a chance to still recover the par. Here's Sexton with a birdie look. little bit of a floaty stepper just to give it a slight chance. But Nestle's up there to settle for the 3. There's not too much trouble to get in on this hole, but it is still a tough birdie with the distance, the wind, and the gaps you have to hit off the tee. Proctor will throw in a nice par putt there. Not take any damage on this one after a little bit of an errant tee shot. Good par there for Sexton as well. Kevin Jones, too, carding the par, whereas Calvin Heimburg, right on the edge of the bullseye off the tee, will be able to get himself a good birdie look here. And, yeah, no problem dropping that one in. And we'll be back after a short break. All right, let's get back to it here. Hole 13, a 422-foot par 3. There is a Mando on the right-hand side as you get up the fairway and start approaching this green. You'd be left of that Mando. Otherwise, you go to the drop zone right next to it. While we are on a golf course, definitely the design here is certainly forced our players to play some more wooded lines, I suppose you could say. And in the wind, it certainly makes these holes quite challenging. Sexton looking for the forehand up the middle. Gets a lot of carry. Going to be way off to the right-hand side. Will likely be just pitching up for par. So Kevin Jones also looks to attack this with the forehand. It's definitely a hole that has multiple options. Unfortunately, Kevin Jones letting go of that one maybe a little early. Going to get a tree pretty early, so still has a lot of ground to cover. Proctor just throws a nice straight backhand up the center. Going to be a bit short, but good delivery nonetheless. As Kevin tries to skip one up to the green to at least salvage a par here. May have a bit of an obstructed putt from there. Pretty easy pitch up for Calvin Heimburg. And Jones will jump one up there. This is that Mando. Sexton lays one up there right under the basket. Be a stress-free par for himself. Proctor also jumping one up there to set up for par, as this is Calvin Heimburg's look for par. Definitely lets himself a bit shorter than he wanted. That just was high right, never had any fade to it. This is played as a slightly over par, 16% of the field finding the birdie. So certainly no gimme. You see a couple of bogeys getting carded here by Kevin Jones and Calvin Heimburg. Sexton and Proctor should be carding the pars here. Now we get to hole 14, a 351-foot par 3. Again, definitely some gaps you have to navigate through, and there is an OB green to the right of the pin. That is certainly something that you have to consider If you decide to throw the forehand, you happen to get a little bit too much hyzer or too much ground action, you could be challenging that OB. Also a triple mandatory off the tee, stopping players from going for anything crazy.
Gosh, that flipped so fast.
Actually, Sexton's found the OB left. Like a beautiful turnover there from Proctor. Just didn't quite get enough forward push. Calvin playing the right hyzer backhand. And that looks pretty good. A little deep. Does stay in bounds, though. Actually, quite deep. And that's that OB green that was mentioned earlier that you do have to contend with that forehand. And he has found it. So once again, our card having a couple of struggles here on this back nine. Proctor just lays one up there for par. Sexton likely just hoping to salvage bogey out of this situation. So he lays one up there. One of those holes where you have plenty of options off the tee, but again, you have to contend with that OB on both sides, no matter which route you choose. For Kevin, it was the OB green that got him. Trying to still save par. That's going to swing wide. Here's Calvin for birdie, but a lengthy bid. But no problem. A great putt from Heimburg as we'll rewind that one back. That was certainly outside the circle, but caught nicely there. He's had a couple of big putts throughout this round. Keeping himself well in contention. Still up in first position at this point. Kevin Jones knocks the bogey down after the OB. Sexton will be looking to do the same, and I believe Proctor's pretty much parked for a par. That's him underneath the basket. Sexton indeed will take the 4 on the card, and Sexton will walk off as Proctor drops in the 3. So we start to approach the end of our round here. Hole 15, an 846-foot par 4. Kind of plays as a double island, so to speak, with some OB off the tee. You also have a water carry that you're going to have to contend with on your second shot if you're looking to attack this pin for birdie. Definitely a hole that's tricky. There's also a couple of OB green bunkers that exist in a couple of different spots along the fairway, and Amanda that you have to hit off the tee as well. So there's a lot going on in this hole. But as long as you can get a nice straight shot near the water's edge, that gives you your best chance to attack the pin for the score. That looked like a pretty solid shot from Calvin Heimburg. Nice slight turning shot here from Proctor, making some good forward progress. Another good position play there, it looks like. Sexton letting go with the forehand. Nice, likely going to play to that right-hand side of the fairway. Again, just avoiding that OB green bunker that does exist right on the other side. Looks like Kevin Jones is thinking the same thing here. So everyone doing a pretty good job off the tee. Give themselves a look. This backhand along the right-hand side of the fairway is probably the safer way to approach the pin. And Sexton has executed that perfectly. Also worth noting, the water does come pretty close to the left-hand side of the putting green, so also have to think about position as you're approaching here to give yourself a safer putt. That was a really high hyzer shot there from Kevin Jones. Looked like that got away from him Even heard him kind of comment what was going on there. Big hyzer as well here from Calvin Heimburg. Looks like he's got a good hold of that. That will stay inbounds, but leads to another lengthy bid. But he's hit plenty of them so far this round, so certainly not out of contention for the birdie. See, Proctor got the furthest off the tee, so has the shorter approach, shorter water carry, but does get hung up on that right-hand side. Rolls out to even worse position, but still manageable to be able to get up and down for par. Needs it to settle. And it does. We'll at least be able to get a par out of this as we see a big jump putt here for Kevin Jones. Kind of flies in the face of the basket and does curl back, so we'll stay in bounds for par. As Heimburg looks for birdie here. Just a little low, hits the koozie. Here's Sexton for his birdie. And he will find it. Very well played hole from Nate Sexton. Had to lay up a few here lately. Just hasn't really been in position to score, but finally has an opportunity and he's able to capitalize. Looks like the rest of the card just looking to take their pars and move on. As this did play as the second most difficult hole on the day. 0.58 strokes over par. Only 10% of the field found the birdie. So certainly it was a toughie. Get back into it here. A 399-foot par 3 to an elevated pin. Definitely a fairly straightforward hole off the tee, but definitely some trees to navigate around to get up and down. Sexton challenging this OB cart path with the forehand, but not a bad play at all. And Sexton curls one up there right in the bullseye as we take a look at Sexton's forehand. And I'm not even going to begin to try to analyze it, but it is certainly one of the best forehands in disc golf. Always been known for the amount of power he can generate, as well as the accuracy to go with it. Heimburg showing us the low punchy backhand option. That will carry a little too straight, leaving him a lengthy putt. It's a lot of these holes, as you're seeing, definitely give the player a few different options off the tee on what they're most comfortable with. So we see now the big over-the-top hyzer shot from Proctor. That's pretty well done. That'll be right there near the circle's edge, I believe. Not a bad shot there from Jones, but definitely will be a lengthier bid. Trying to jump one in there. Just going to hit the center of the platform. We'll have to settle for par. And again, Calvin pushed his disc a bit too straight. Deep of the pin here. Tries to flip one up there anyway. Gave it a good chance, but we'll have to settle for the 3. Meanwhile, Proctor, after the big sky hyzer shot, able to connect on the birdie. That'll tie him in second place at 2 under par for now. And Sexton also pretty much nailed this one. That's a couple of birdies in a row now for Nate, as he tries to start climbing back up the leaderboard. The rest of the card looks to be cleaning up the pars. Oh, no. Oh, that's gut-wrenching. Not what you expect to see. You know it can happen, even to the best of them, but still tough, as we are going to get to a par 4 for hole 17, 737 feet. Big water challenge to attack the green. You really need to make sure you have good position. There is a Mando that you have to stay to the right of off the tee. A couple of OB bunkers you have to worry about as well. One in particular on the left-hand side of the fairway, about halfway up, maybe just past halfway. Sexton playing the forehand out to the right-hand side of the fairway.
Thank you.
And again, it's once you get there, how do you want to challenge the green? You can play the backhand hyzer over the water and try to crash into the peninsula, or you have to play more of a left to right moving shot and kind of challenge the water on the end of your flight. Really kind of a pick your poison situation, as Proctor delivers a fantastic backhand at the center of the fairway. Kevin Jones just trying to skip one up there, maybe a little lower than he wanted it to be. Does get out into the open. Let's take a look here at Calvin Heimburg, see what he's up to. Throws a big shot right up the middle, slight turning shot there, and does get caught up on one of those trees on the right-hand side, so he may have a tricky situation ahead. As Kevin Jones lines up the backhand hyzer over the water. And really well done. Maybe a bit of a death putt for birdie, but he has put it very close. So we see Calvin Heimburg's look. He's going to go for the forehand, as that's really all he has with this tree in front of him.
Wow.
Definitely puts a lot of power on that, but just not enough angle to skip up close to the green, and so he will likely be laying up for a par unless he really wants to get risky. Proctor 2 playing that forehand out left. Catches a little bit of a branch there, it looked like, and that kind of knocks him off course and actually finds him the OB. Tough break after such a great tee shot. Speaking of great tee shots, Sexton certainly had one, but this is also pushing perhaps a little too straight. That's going to be a tough call there for Sexton on whether to run that or not. Just a step floaty bid there from Proctor. Goes a bit awry, but does settle down. Heimburg also essentially laying up there for the par. Maybe gave it a slight bid, but not really committed. Yeah, and Sexton will just lay up. It's certainly hard to run this unless you're close. With the water right there and the wind being a constant factor. And Jones a little high left. Not able to capitalize after a great shot and approach. A bogey for Proctor will flash up. Rest looking to settle for par heading into our final hole. And indeed they will drop them in no problem. As we head to our conclusion, a very difficult par 4 at just under 700 feet. Have to be accurate up the middle. There's a Mando right off the tee that you have to stay left of. And then there's a big dog leg right with, again, a lot of OB. And it only gets narrower and narrower as you progress up the fairways. There's really kind of two main parts to this hole. And this first part is just get as straight as you can and get up there to the bend. And that will play. It's exactly how you draw it up. Forehand certainly the best option to try to get around the corner and set up the easier approach shot. Kevin Jones trying to play up the left-hand side rather than up the middle. Maybe just kind of a flexing shot, but unfortunately that's going to find out of bounds. Yeah, backhand up the middle here for Calvin. Slow turning shot, skips around and makes it to that corner. That gives him a chance to get up and down for his birdie. Proctor 2 lining up the backhand. Comes out a little early there, gets caught up on that left-hand side, making things difficult. Kevin Jones just kind of pitching one up there. Gonna have to just concede for bogey at best. Proctor 2 has a challenging shot ahead. Trying to play a backhand more inside. Does get caught up a little bit there, though. And yeah, he didn't quite make it to that corner, so still some work to be done. Kind of has to sacrifice a stroke just to get into position. So he's likely looking at bogey as well. Here's what Calvin's left with. Certainly has a chance. Gonna play a forehand up to that elevated basket, but finds that OB on the right-hand side of the green. Again, very narrow as you get on this final stretch to the basket. Great shot there from Kevin Jones. And this is now Sexton looking to approach for his birdie opportunity. Great shot off the tee. Looks good out the hands. Needs to stick. And no, rolls out. Just going to show just how narrow this green gets. As it's worth noting that this was the most difficult hole on the day. Played .61 strokes over par. Only 11% of the field finding the birdie. Nearly 50% of the field bogeyed or did worse. So definitely a lot of scoring separation on this hole. Very rare birdie and even tough to par. As Calvin Heimburg will just get it over there to settle for a par, putting him in a tie for 6th position and keeping him on the chase card probably for day 2. And that's a low put out of Proctor's hands. So he will card the double bogey. That'll knock him back a few. Kevin Jones also licking his wounds after that one. Same with Sexton. So that'll wrap things up here for our back 9 of the opening round at the OTB Open for our feature card here at Gatekeeper Media. As you can see, Calvin Heimburg certainly keeps himself in contention, but the rest of the card definitely has some work to do on moving day to get back into good position to contend for a good run. So we kind of show you how things settle down. Kind of see our top 4 on the lead card. And yeah, Calvin Heimburg will be joining Ricky Wysocki, Drew Gibson, and Joel Freeman here for round 2 for our chase card coverage here at Gatekeeper Media. Once again, we appreciate you so much for tuning into the coverage. If you haven't already, please follow and subscribe so you can catch future rounds, as we'll be bringing you Pro Tour action all year long. And I, once again, Dustin Mouret, had a great time doing the commentary for you. Give me a follow if you'd like on Follow Dustin at Instagram or Dustin Disc on YouTube. Thank you so much. Catch you next time.